Hey guys, it's Thursday and I have a new book for y'all today. But first, obviously, I'm in my classroom. We get to get back into our classrooms today. So here we are. We are all set up and ready for you to start on Monday. But until then, I have one more book that another book that I want to show you. Yesterday's book was called 2030, A Day in the Life of Tomorrow's Kids. And what was neat about that book is it had so many different inventions and cool things that students will have access to in the year 2030, or could possibly have access to. But none of those things would be possible unless somebody like you invented it by that time. So today I have a book called So You Want to Be an Inventor. And this is from Judith St. George and David Small. So I thought I'd begin by reading this one. Are you a kid who likes to tinker with machines that clink and clank and levers that pull, bells that ring, cogs that grind, switches that turn on and off, wires that vibrate, dials that spin? You watch TV, ride a bike, phone your friends, pop popcorn in the microwave, go to the movies? Inventions! And you want to be an inventor too? You don't have to have white hair and wrinkles to be an inventor. At 12, Benjamin Franklin invented swim paddles for his hands and kick paddles for his feet. When he grew up, Ben Franklin invented the lightning rod, Franklin stove, fireplace damper, library step stool, and odometer to measure the distance that a vehicle travels. At 77, he invented bifocal glasses. He probably needed them. Do you have a brother? Brothers can help. Connecticut patriot David Bushnell would have been sunk without his brother, Ezra. David wasn't strong enough to operate all the cranks, handles, and pumps in the submarine that he invented during the Revolutionary War, so Ezra did it for him. In 1895, Marconi had a brother, Alfonso, take a 1.5 mile hike with a receiver and a gun. If he received the signals Marconi sent, he would fire that gun. Pow! That gunshot broadcast the birth of Marconi's invention, the radio. If you want to be an inventor, find a need and fill it. Cyrus McCormick got tired of reaping wheat on his family's farm with a hand scythe. It took forever. So, in 1831, he invented a mechanical reaper. The flapping reaper frightened the horses, but it reaped in a few hours of what 3 men could reap in one day. The son of runaway slaves, Elijah McCoy, was an oilman on a railroad. To oil the pistons, gears, and bearings, the train had to be stopped. In 1872, he invented a lubricator that oiled the pistons, gears, and bearings while the engine was running. Other workers wanted his invention for their engines, but the real McCoy lubricators or nothing. If you want to be an inventor, be a dreamer. As a boy in Scotland, Alexander Graham Bell had a dreaming place. When he grew up, he dreamed of people talking across distances, maybe by electronic signals. Electric signals it was, and in 1876 he invented the telephone. Young Russian Igor Sikorsky dreamed of a different way to fly up, down, forward, backward, and sideways. Igor's brother poked fun at him. It will never fly. He was wrong. With 3 blades whirling, in 1939, Igor's dream helicopter took off. If you want to be an inventor, keep your eyes open. On a 1914 trip to Labrador, Fur trader Clarence Birdseye watched Eskimos freeze fish on ice. When the fish thawed, they tasted fresh. Would fast freezing food between two metal plates work as well? It did. All those frozen dinners, pizzas, and other frozen yummies come to you by the way of Clarence Birdseye. After a country walk with his dog in 1948, Swiss engineer Georges de Mestral picked cockleburs off his pants. Why? The cocklebur hooks grip the wool loops in his pants. Hooks and loops. The perfect fastener. George's invention? Velcro. An inventor has to be as stubborn as a bulldog. Yankee Charles Goodyear spent 10 years trying to make raw rubber usable. He spent all his money and was thrown into debtor's debt jail before he hit the jackpot in 1839 by treating raw rubber with sulfur under heat. Tires, tennis balls, and all sorts of other rubber goodies have been bouncing around ever since. Thomas Edison spent more than a year looking for a thin thread called filament that would glow without burning up when electricity passed through it. He tried platinum, nickel, gold, silver, fishline, cotton thread, coconut hair, people hair, wood shavings, cork, and more. Carbonized bamboo was the answer. Edison's 1879 incandescent lamp, a lamp that stayed lit, brightened lives everywhere. Don't worry if people laugh at you. Everyone mocked Robert Fulton's steamboat, calling it Fulton's Folly, and a floating sawmill caught on fire. But laughter lost steam in 1807 when Roberts Clermont chugged up the Hudson River from New York to Albany with paddle wheels churning and flags waving. Newspapers laughed at Robert Goddard for trying to invent a space rocket. They called him Moon Man and a hoaxer. He was no hoaxer. Thanks to Moon Man, Robert Goddard's 1926 invention of liquid fuel rocket, the spacecraft Apollo 11 landed Americans safely on the moon in 1969. Inventors aren't all men. Illinois homemaker Josephine Cochran figured other women were as fed up with washing dishes and red hands as she was. In 1886, she put together a wooden tub, wire basket, and a hand pump to invent the very first dishwasher. Movie star Hedy Lamarr said, "Any girl can look glamorous. All you have to do is stand still and look stupid." Beautiful Hedy Lamarr wasn't stupid. Just before World War II, she fled to Austria for the United States, where she and a friend invented a system for guiding torpedoes by radio signals. Even presidents can be inventors. George Washington invented 16-sided treading barn in 1792. Horses trampled over wheat on the barn floor. The grain dropped through slots. Eureka! George Washington's wheat supply was dry, stored, and ready to be ground into flour. Thomas Jefferson invented a two-faced clock. One face inside, it told the day, the hour, the minute, and the second, and one face outside. Its Chinese gong could be heard from 3 miles away. Jefferson wasn't called smart for nothing. The ropes holding the weights were so long that he cut holes into the floor to let the weights hang into the basement. Maybe you like to work alone. Alexander Graham Bell worked alone at night, every night, inventing a graphophone, an iron lung, kites to study flight, and of course the telephone. "To take night from me is to rob me of life," he declared. Nikola Tesla was world famous for inventing the alternating current motor, the AC motor, in 1880s to produce huge amounts of electricity that could be sent over long distances. But Nikola lived in a lonely New York hotel rooms, had no family, few friends, and only worked for himself. Maybe you'd rather invent as part of a team. Thomas Edison forged a crew of inventors who huddled day and night over clanking, hissing motors, smelly chemicals, and machines that sent sparks flying. He and his crew came up with the incandescent lamp, a movie camera, the phonograph, and more than 1,000 other inventions. One invention can lead to another. In the early 1900s, Henry Ford jumped from Michigan farm boy to king of the road. He didn't invent the automobile, but he did perfect mass production and the moving assembly line that had workers slapping his Model T Ford cars together in a hurry. Other inventors hopped on board. Mary Anderson invented windshield wipers. Swish, swish. Garrett Morgan came up with traffic lights, red stop, yellow slow, green go. Elmer Wavering invented car radios. A little music, please. More cars, more accidents. Alan Bread's airbags saved lives. Wouldn't Henry Ford be amazed at what he had started? Sometimes an invention creates more problems than it solves. In 1793, Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin that cleaned cotton 50 times faster than workers by cleaning by hand. Wire spikes pulled the cotton through slots too narrow for the seeds, but more and more slaves were needed to grow more and more cotton. Eli Whitney's cotton gin sowed the seeds of the Civil War. Watch out, your invention might scare people. Swedish chemist Alfred Nobel invented dynamite in 1866 by mixing nitroglycerin with the chalky soil. But when 5 workers were killed in an explosion, Alfred was ordered to work outside the city on a barge in the middle of a lake. While experimenting in 1895, scientist Wilhelm Röntgen was shocked when he turned an electric switch and saw light rays glowing from a screen that he had treated with barium. X-rays. People freaked out. Did seeing their own bones mean that they would die, or were X-rays really death rays? Be careful. The truth is, inventing can be dangerous. At an 1854 New York City fair, Elijah Otis stood on a platform that was raised up 30 feet by rope. He ordered the rope cut. The platform fell, but iron teeth grabbed notches in the guide rails and stopped the platform cold. "All safe, gentlemen, all safe," Elisha called out. His safety brake invention worked. Some of Orville and Wilbur Wright's early 1900s flying machines landed safely, and some didn't. Poor Orville. He was hurt in a glider crash, 2 airplane crashes, and a plane crash that knocked him out and broke his leg and ribs. Flying machine, cloth, and sticks in a heap. With me in the center, Orville wrote in his diary. Some inventions were invented before their time. If Leonardo da Vinci hadn't been born more than 550 years ago, he could have been one of the greatest. He thought up and sketched an air cooling machine, automobile, paddle wheel boat, diver snorkel, flying machine, parachute, and projector for pictures. In 1830s, British mathematician Charles Babbage invented a steam-powered computer that had a memory bank, made decisions, and recorded data. His idea was on target, but his computer had to be trashed for lack of electronic know-how. Both of them were just before their time. Keep an eye on your invention. Copycats are out there. Joseph Henry invented a telegraph system in 1830s that sent signals over short distances. In 1844, Samuel F.B. Morse jazzed up Joseph's inventions, put together a Morse code dot-dash system, and was tapped as the inventor of the telegraph. In 1847, William Kelly invented a method of producing steel by burning off excess carbon in a hot pig iron with a blast of cold air. 8 years later, Henry Bessemer's mammoth flame-shooting converters produced steel the same way. Who was known as the red-hot steel maker? Henry Bessemer. That's who. Of course, some inventions never fail to take off at all. Andrew Jackson Jr. invented adjustable eyeglasses for chickens so that they wouldn't peck each other's eyes out. The chickens weren't interested. John Boakes invented a hair-cutting helmet that sucked up hair into tiny holes where electric coils burned the hair to just the right length. Ouch. Elmer Walter invented a table knife with a mirror on the handle to use at meals for checking if food was stuck to his teeth. Disgusting. Franz Vester invented a coffin with an escape hatch and a breathing tube in case the person inside was still alive. It's too gruesome. Other inventions take off so well that they're named for their inventor. Electricity is measured in volts. Alessandro Volta invented the electric battery, and James Watt, made a steam-powered practical. Charles Mackintosh's weatherproof fabric turned out to be Mackintosh raincoats. During the French Revolution, Joseph Guillotine beheaded victims. Rudolf Diesel invented the diesel engine that runs on unrefined oil. Here's the bottom line. Whether your invention is named after you or not, whether you're a dreamer, a loner, or laughed at, work all night, or put yourself in danger, your invention could change the world. It has happened. Vladimir Zorkin's 1923 electric tube led to television. 3 U.S. scientists in 1947 transistor led to computers. Even more important, Johannes Gutenberg invented a hand-operated printing press with movable metal type in 1940s. A printer could print in a day what it took a year to write by hand. Results? We got books. Books, books, books. People decided it was time to learn to read, and they did. In the end, being an inventor means pushing the limits of what human beings know and what humans begin to know. Because you're a risk taker and will be on a quest into the unknown, you're a risk taker. You will be willing to try and fail, and maybe try and succeed. One thing is certain. There will always be barriers to be broken, whether it's to find a new source of power, a different way to communicate, a machine that works medical miracles, or something that we can't even imagine. It takes passion, heart, but those barriers can be broken by you. So maybe one day we will be reading your name in a book about something you've invented. So I hope y'all like this one. This one will be in the library as well. There is some more information in the back about some of these different inventors. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. Again, I will see y'all on Monday. This will be in my library. See y'all tomorrow, though, as well for a new book. Bye, guys.